Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Welcome to another interactive session of e-learning from University of South Asia. I'm your instructor Samira Mustafa. Today we are going to discuss about the intestinal surgeries. And in intestinal surgeries, we are going to discuss surgical intensive care unit protocol for short bowel syndrome and let's discuss short bowel syndrome first. What is short bowel syndrome? Short bowel syndrome is basically refers to a nutritional and medical condition, medical consequences resulting from the major section of small bowel intestine. Basically, the amount of remaining gastrointestinal tract required to maintain the acceptable and digestive tract and absorptive capacity depends upon the number of factors that are responsible, including the age and the gender of the individual, along with the reason of resection and the remaining portion of the GI tract that is intacted with the intestines. So these are the factors that mainly affect the intestines or the and plus one factor I missed out, the health and health of the remaining GI tract. If the remaining GI tract has the same disease affected with the same disease or suffered with some consequences of that resected part, so it also matters in the small bowel. There are a number of symptoms that are signs and symptoms resulted from the intestinal resection. If less than 200 centimeter of the jejunum or ileum remains, or you can say that 70 to 75% of the small intestine is resected, in that case we can say that there is a short bowel syndrome. Etiology: in most cases, the etiology may vary. Most common reasons for the behind this short bowel syndrome or the resection of the part of the intestines is the Crohn's disease, because it affects the maximum part of the intestine and several parts within interval. So that the major reason is Crohn's disease, and there are so many other reasons, that is radiation, enteritis, trauma, complication, radiation, infarction of the intestines, that is a mesenteric infarction, and also the malignant disease, sometimes of volvulus and traumas, tumors. These are the things that could happen, or these are the causes of behind the short bowel syndrome. In children and infants, this disease is also occurs frequently due to enterocolitis and ectasia colitis and extensive necrotizing. These are the factors that are responsible in short bowel syndrome in pediatric population. So when we discuss further the after the etiology, let's discuss about the types of the short bowel syndrome. Patients of short bowel syndrome can be divided into two distinct groups. Those who are having intact colon, or those without the colon. So in this picture, you can see easily that jejunal anastomosis, this is, and in this picture, colon is not there. So let's move further. What are the consequences of the short bowel syndrome? Short bowel syndrome, the consequences include mainly the malabsorption of micronutrients and macronutrients. Frequent diarrhea is one of the leading factor in this, along with steatorrhea, dehydration, and electrolyte imbalances exist in this, and weight loss and growth failure are very commonly seen in the children. In children. Other complications usually include renal stones, gastric hypersecretions, gallbladder stones, oxalate stones in the kidneys, cholelithiasis, and other D-lactic acidosis, sometimes fistula development, and also seen. Um, Later on, some of the complications are also seen when the patients are put on TPN. So there are number of consequences are also there in that case. Due to the TPN, catheter infection is frequently observed in the critically ill patient, along with sepsis, cholelithiasis, and liver diseases. These also associated with the in them. So management of short bowel syndrome: all patients with Um, all patients who have bowel resection that results on removal of greater than 70 to 80% of the small intestine suffer some initial chronic problems and related to malabsorption and fluid and electrolyte imbalance. The bowel adaptation can occur in varying degree of absorption improves frequently. Frequent feeding with small meals, small amount of simple food, use diluted enteral feeding, and the addition of number of enteral growth factors may enhances the absorption. Enteral growth factors are the probiotics and prebiotic consumption, along with along with some sort of the frequent feeding with small amount of simple food uses diluted enteral feeding is mandatory, and addition of the small enteral formula to enhance the absorption. Individual at increased risk of intestinal failure depends upon the parental nutritional support and include the elderly, which include mainly the elderly, those who have had the distal ileal resection, resection of the ileocecal wall, and the colonic resection, in addition to the small intestine, and those whose reasons of bowel resection include radiation enteritis and mesenteric fever and tract, they have much more chances of fluid and electrolyte imbalances. So management is mainly include the replacement of electrolyte and fluid. So for and also the provision of proper nutritional support to an individual. Medication of possible complication should be prescribed by the doctors or the gastroenterologist to cope up with the present complication. Different medications in which trophic and prokinetic agents can be used, and these can be used along with the proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers can also be recommended along to aid in the process of digestion. So, parental nutrition support is very common, as we discussed earlier, especially for elderly population. Typically, patients who undergo massive intestinal surgery requires TPN due to the non-hemodynamic stability. Once the hemodynamic stability has been achieved for up to first 7 to 10 days after surgery, then the TPN can be removed and oral intake can be preferred. Usually 25 to 30 kilocalories per kg per day is based on the ideal body weight for adults can be prescribed. So when we talk about the TPN, dextrose is in the monohydrate form can be used because it provides almost 3.4 kilocalories per ml as compared to different solutions of glucose. Glucose provides you 4 kilocalories per ml. The maximum dextrose infusion should be 5 to 7 mg per kg per minute. Glucose should be monitored at least daily to obtain the optimal blood sugar level, and the addition of regular insulin to the TPN solution may be required. If insulin is required, it should be directly added to the TPN bag or used at the initial dose of zero point 0.1 mg per dextrose. Intravenous lipids are generally used to provide 20 to 30% of the infused calories, as we already used to give to the healthy individual by mouth, and the remaining calories should be justified with the help of protein. The protein is supplied in the form of free amino acid and should be supplied at 1 to 1.5 gram per kg of the per day. So you can say that the protein requirements are comparatively high, and as compared to the non-surgical patients, when a patient fluid and electrolyte balance has replaced, bowel sounds have returned, and there is less than 2 liters per day of diarrhea, an alimental diet can be initiated. Alimental diet includes the semi-solid diet that can be used. The goal to provide the patient with approximately 25 to 30 kilocalories per kg per day and 1 to 1.5 gram kg per kg of the day of protein. So here is the of the before going to the management of this small bowel syndrome, there are two main resections of the small bowel resection. One is the jejunal resection, another one is the ileal resection. Judicial recession, mostly the most digestion of the absorption of the food and nutrition took place and in the first 100 centimeters of the intestine. What remains to be digested is or fermented and absorbed are a small amount of sugar, fermented carbohydrate, and resistant starches, fiber, lipids, dietary fiber, and some sort of fluid in it. After jejunal resection, and the ileum is able to perform the function of the jejunum. So, especially after the completion of the period of adaptation, this ileum is able to perform the major function of the jejunum. Motility of the ileum is comparatively slower than the jejunum. So, a hormonal secretion in the ileum and colon helps to slow gastric emptying and secretions. Because jejunal resection results in reduced surface area and shorter the intestinal transit time than the normal, the functional reserves for absorption of micronutrients, excess amount of sugar, especially the lactose and the lipids, are reduced. So let's move to the other segment of the intestinal resection. There are a number of factors that affects the illegal after illegal resection. So illegal resection is significant resection of the ileum, especially the distal ileum, generally produce normal nutritional, major nutritional and medical complication. Distal ileum is the one only site of absorption for the B12. So mainly after the resection of the distal ileum, the major deficiency of B12 occurs, and the intrinsic factor complex and bile salts and the ileum normally absorb the major portion of the several liter of fluid ingested and secreted into GI tract. So the majorly after the illegal resection, the patients are observed with the deficiency of B12, and the pernicious anemia or megaloblastic anemia is one of the common cause that common problem that can be seen in the patient suffering with the come up with the illegal resection. So consequences of illegal section are so many. Rapid transit time is one of the leading factor in this, and intestinal content can started moving rapidly. Decreased fluid absorption and absorptive areas are reduced, and the minimum absorption of fluid can be happen, and malabsorption of bile and B12 deficiency, intrinsic factor complex. Malabsorption due to the intrinsic non-availability of the intrinsic factor, because and also the limited absorptive sites of the B12 for B12. So malabsorption of the bile further leads to soap formation, and fatty acid malabsorption of fatty acid results in the combination with divalent cautions such as calcium, zinc, and magnesium in the form of fatty acids and mineral soap. So malabsorption of bile causes further soap formation and chelation of many other minerals. Inadequate bile for lipid solubilization, digestion, and absorption, leading to the loss of fat and fat soluble vitamins. Um, so there are a number of fat soluble vitamins that are directly excreted out of the body in the form of maldigested fat and soaps. Vitamin A, D, E, K are rapidly excreted out of the body. Rapidly excreted out of the body. Loss of secreted bile salt into the colon because of decreased reabsorption. Formation of hydroxy fatty acid by colonic bacteria from malabsorbed fatty acid, resulting in decreased fluid and electrolyte absorption, is very common. So, the electrolyte replacement therapy along with the fluid replacement is mandatory. Malabsorption of zinc, calcium, and magnesium, because they are because of the formation of insoluble soap with malabsorption of free fatty acids. They are excreted out of the body in the form of steatorrhea. Increased risk of oxalate stone because of the increased colonic absorption of oxalate, which normally binds to calcium and as calcium, zinc, and magnesium, and get stored into the kidney and form further stores. So let's move further. If you management of short bowel syndrome. Short bowel syndrome management is mainly depend upon the fluid and electrolyte replacement therapy. So it depends on the time when the jejunal, if colon is present or colon is absent. In that case, if less than 100 centimeter residual small bowel is present, then TPN is likely to be preferred. If less than 100 centimeter residue small bowel is present, then if greater than 100 centimeters residual small bowel is present, then partial TPN support with weaning is should be done. Otherwise, if the otherwise if reanastomosis of the colon, if possible, then greater than of the small bowel is greater than small bowel of colon is intacted, plus colon is intacted. TPN is generally not required. So if the greater than we can say that if the greater than 100 centimeter of the small bowel is present, so there is no need to give patient TPN support. If TPN support is to be given, then solid food should be added either in the form of tube feeding or orally, so that the gastrointestinal motility can be maintained. So in all cases, oral rehydrating solution is when we talk about the electrolyte dietary therapy. So in that case, oral rehydrating solution along with electrolyte replacement therapy is mandatory. If possible, then different medications are used to control the consequences of resected part, like diarrhea, to control diarrhea, to maintain calcium levels in the blood, and different teaching abroad. When the anastomosis of the colon is done, if the colon is also present, then in that case TPN is usually not required. So along with oral rehydrating solution, different low oxalate diet, diet high in complex carb, oral calcium supplementation can be used. Because in that case, steatorrhea is very common, so MCTs are the preferred medium of fat that can be introduced to the patient's life easily. When there is a jejunal colic anastomosis, in that case, MCTs along with oral calcium supplementation and low sodium diet is preferred, and to maintain the appropriate health of the catheter is also necessary. So when the patient is going back to home, cyclic TPN is usually preferred. In that case, the patient must be learn about the consequences of poor health of the catheter and the sepsis complication related to the catheter. These should be monitored day to day. So, the dietary management and recommendation of the short bowel syndrome, when there are three major nutrients that can be used for the provision of calories to the patient: carbohydrate, fat, and protein. These are the nutrients, but it totally depends upon the presence of colon or the absence of colon. Either colon is present or not. So these depend on the colonic health. So when we talk about the carbohydrate, so 30 to 35% of the calories should be given from carbohydrate. Calories per kg per day should be given from the source of carbohydrate. But when the colon is present, soluble fiber should be included in it along with some sort of complex carbs, along with some sort of complex carbs. Fat should be given in the form of either MCTs, that is medium chain triglyceride, or sometimes long chain fatty acid can be used. The requirement is remains the same. 20 to 30% of the total calories must be given from fat. When we talk about the protein, so intact protein can be used based on the protein based formulas can be used, and usually loose free amino acids are the preferred medium. 1 to 1.5 gram per kg of the body weight is the preferred amount of protein can be prescribed to the regeneration of the intestinal health and perform the basic function after the surgery. So dietary treatment includes the ample quantity of water-soluble vitamin. Most patients have significant bowel resection, requires total parenteral nutrition initially to store the maximum nutrition status and maintain the maximum. During the total parenteral nutrition support, the subsequent nutrition therapy is based on the extent of the bowel resection and the health of the patient and the condition of the remaining GI tract. In general, older patient with the major ileal resection patient who have lost the ileocecal wall, the patient with the residual disease in the remaining GI tract do not fare as well. So, two major general principles for remaining enteral nutrition after a small bowel resection are: one, to start enteral feeding early, and the second one is to increase the feeding concentration and the volume gradually over the time. The role of enteral feeding is to provide the trophic trophic stimulus and to the GI tract. Parenteral nutrition is used to restore and maintain the nutritional status. Otherwise, enteral nutrition should be the preferred medium that could be used to maintain the GI integrity and mucosal health of the intestinal tract. The more extreme and severe problems, the slower the progression. Small, frequent meals are likely to be preferred. 6 to 10 per day are likely to be the better tolerated, and large feeding should be avoided. If enteral feedings are used, gradually introduced for feeding stimulus, GI adaptation, total parenteral nutrition provides the major source of fluid and nutrients, along with some sort of micronutrients that are vitamin B complex, including vitamin B, thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, folate, B12, that is methylcobalamin, and along with vitamin C. Vitamin C and zinc should be added to cope up with the wounds and damage associated with the persistent hospital stay or a prolonged hospital stay. So vitamin C and zinc should be added. Fat soluble vitamin must be the part of their diet so that the damage related to steatorrhea can be cope up easily. Vitamin A, D, E, K supplementation should be required in the supplemental form. If um, if preferred, then go for parenterally. These supplements can be used. If not possible, then water soluble form of fat soluble vitamins can be used. Water soluble vitamin deficiency is rarely to be occur, but when occur, it hinders our metabolic pathways, like different cycles that are involved in carbohydrate, protein, and fat metabolism. So maximum adaptation of the GI tract may takes up to a year after surgery. So adaptation improve function, but it does not restore the intestines to normal length and the capacity. Whole foods are some of the most important stimulus to the GI tract, but other nutritional reserve measures have to be considered. I mean that adaptive process and decreasing the malabsorption. For example, glutamine is the preferred fuel for small intestine enterocytes, and preferred fuel thus may be valuable in enhancing the adaptation phase because it increase the GI motility and also the intestinal health by creating the intestinal mucosal by improving the health of the intestinal lining and maintaining the GI integrity. So the management is same as we discussed earlier: nutritional support, fluid and electrolyte balance, and management to the this. So different glucose polymeric formulas are used to maintain the fluid and electrolyte imbalances. ORS can be used. WHO formulated ORS dissolving tap water with sodium chloride or potassium chloride can be used in this to decrease the dehydration and to decrease the TPN fluid requirement in patients with the residual jejunal ending in the jejunostomy can be preferred. So ORS with the residual colon for patients with no remaining jejunum but who have residual ileum, the presence of glucose in the ORS is not critical because ileal water absorption is not affected by the presence of glucose. Patients with short bowel syndrome should be cautioned against consumption of plain water and should be encouraged to drink ORS whenever they are thirsty. So usual tap water should be discouraged, and preference of short bowel syndrome can be used. Complications are there are a number of complications that are associated with this kind of this kind of problem, that short bowel syndrome. Diarrhea is one of the common factor. Cholestasis, steatorrhea is very common. Gastric hypersecretion, Nephrolysis, degastric lactic acidosis. These are the factors that are leading to further complicate the problem. So diarrhea, in diarrhea, anti-motility agents such as hydrochloride and different omeprazole can be used, motilium can be used. The mechanism of action is still unclear, but it may be useful to slow the intestinal transit time and increase the water and sodium absorption. So thereby reducing mucosal protein and incorporate the villi growth rate and may impair the post-sectional intestinal adaptation. There is also an increased risk for cholelithiasis in patient group already predisposed to this problem. So along with diarrhea, another complication is there is steatorrhea. That means that excessive amount of fat excreted out, a lipid may be impaired because of the impairment of the bile salt absorption related to resected ileum, and greater than 100 centimeter ileum is resected, then this could be happen. There is insufficient evidence to recommend the use of bile acid supplement to decrease steatorrhea, but still, bile acid is useful in absorption of fat. So, if the fat is excreted out of the body, it also excretes fat is the combination. So it takes up calcium, vitamin D, E, and A, along with calcium and zinc to form a fatty acid mineral soap, and that excreted out of the body, that is known as steatorrhea. It may actually worsen steatorrhea. Sometimes ileal section also worsens steatorrhea because of the binding of bile salts. Gastric hypersecretion is another leading factor that is associated with the resection of the small bowel, because after the resection less of the material is available for absorption and the excretions are there. So hypersecretion must be can be noticed in that. H2 antagonistic and proton pump inhibitor, massive small bowel resection is associated with hypergastrinemia during the initial first 6 months after surgery. High dose of H2 antagonistic and proton pump inhibitor reduce gastric fluid secretion and fluid loss during the first 6 months post intro resectomy. So, in that, different results of the omeprazole increase, median increase, and wet weight absorption compared with no treatment, and the effect was not significant, but still different medications can be used to control the effect of this kind of medication. Here is the effect of medication that you can discuss later, or if you want to add on in your exam, so you can add. Otherwise, there is no need to add. You must have an idea what are the role of these kind of medications, and no need to discuss it further. Another complication associated with the renal stone. Normal oxalate in the diet binds to dietary calcium and excreted in the stool. However, in the presence of significant fat malabsorption, dietary calcium preferential bind to the free fatty acid, rendering the oxalate free passed into the colon. Dietary oxalate is absorbed to the minimal extent on the small intestine. Once absorbed into the colon, oxalate is renally filtered, where it binds to calcium, resulting in hyperoxaluria and calcium oxalate necrocalcinosis and nephrolithiasis is very common in the patient. Patient with short bowel syndrome who have colon incontinuity, oxalate should be restricted in the diet. Low oxalate diet is the preferred medium. Oral calcium supplements may be a valuable tool for the prevention of calcium oxalate nephrolithiasis, because calcium gets bind to the oxalate, and the remaining and less oxalate is bioavailable for the to get stored into the kidney and form stores. So increased risk of oxalate stone because of the increased colonic absorption of the oxalate, which normally binds to the calcium, magnesium, or zinc. So the magnesium stone, calcium stone, and zinc stone can also be appear in this case. Bacterial overgrowth is another complication. Resection of the ileocecal wall may involve colonic bacteria or to populate the small intestine, resulting in the bacteria overgrowth. Bacteria compete for nutrients with the enterocyte. Treatment can be undertaken with oral dosage of antibacterial agents, or uses of antibiotic can be preferred. D-lactic acidosis. This is one of the rare cause that is going to be happen after the resection. D-lactic acidosis sometimes occur in malabsorbed patient with short bowel syndrome and is characterized by recurrent episodes of encephalopathy and metabolic acidosis. Characteristics, neurological abnormalities, and the presence of metabolic acidosis raises the diagnosis, suspicions, and the diagnosis. Serum anti-lactic acidosis is greater than 3 millimole. Standard treatment consists of restricting oral carbohydrate or fasting correction of the metabolic acidosis and a long-term suppression of pathogenic flora with antibiotics treatment and IV bicarbonates and metronidazole to suppress the overgrowth of the colonic lactobacillus responsible for the metabolic crisis can be used to uh, surgical intensive care protocol for short bowel syndrome depend upon the length of the colon, remaining part of the small bowel and the remaining part of the small bowel and along with the presence of colon or the absence of colon. Different medications can be used to control the possible complications of the medication. Depending upon the type of complication, different medications can be used. Some kind of supplementation should be preferred, like calcium supplement. Oral calcium dose 800 to 1200 milligram of calcium is mandatory because due to the malabsorption, excessive calcium is excreted, and later on, calcium can be cause reabsorption of resorption of bones, and maximum amount of calcium deficiency of maximum amount of calcium causes the bone damage, and ultimately osteopenia can be observed in this patient. In patient with short bowel syndrome who have colon incontinuity, oxalate should be restricted in the diet. That should be the part of because as we already discussed, the oxalate related to the oxalate can be harmful to the patients who have colon in their intestinal tract. So here are some of the gastric surgeries that I want to share with you. Surgical stapling is one of the major factor in this. The stapling can be done is done, and with this part, the infected part or infracted part can be resected. Without resection, can be stapled so that it cannot perform the basic function, and the remaining part, which is preferably in good health, can be attached to the other portion, and the remaining part can function properly. Here is another type of surgery, right hemicolectomy. In that, the right part is resected and the left part is and the remaining part is attached with the small intestine. Large intestine parts attached with the small intestine. So hemicolectomy is almost the same. Right and left both are the same, but there is only a difference in the site. So transfer colectomy is one of the major surgery that is done and very commonly seen in patient. In that case, the trauma part is the transfer colon that is resected, and the ascending colon is just joined with that descending colon so that it makes a loop over here. So same is the case with interior resection. In that, the minimum part is resected and maximum part is resected, and the remaining part is attached to the other portion of the gastrointestinal tract. Here is all about today's lecture. So if you have any queries, then just drop your queries over there. Hope everything is clear. Still, if something is not clear to you, then please ask frequent questions so that I can manage to answer your questions and solve your queries as early as possible, and we make an interactive learning session that must be the helpful session for all of you. Thank you so much. If you have any query, then drop your queries over here. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.